All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Coincidence Cafe. We've been doing this for 2.5 years every month. And we've seen, hundreds and hundreds of people at our cafes, and we love to see you back. So for those who are returning, it's wonderful to have some continuity and get to know people better. For those who are your first time coming, yay, hooray. We've been doing a lot more publicity, and the Coincidence Project became a public and global nonprofit at the start of this year, the start of 2023. So we've been trying to also reach new people. So if this is your first time, welcome. We are delighted to see you. With Coincidence Cafe, we have new co-hosts every month. This month is myself, and Giancarlo. And I will ask if you're not if you're not speaking, go ahead and mute, and I can actually hit to mute, I think, for the group. Yeah, I'm going to mute everybody. And then Giancarlo, you can just click to come back off mute. It's fine. And that helps us cut down on background noise of people from your household coming by and talking to you, and the dogs barking and all the things that can happen on Zoom. And we have just a few general group norms about the Coincidence Cafe. It's best to kind of speak more from your personal experience. So you would say, I've seen this, or in my view or my opinion, my perspective is that it goes like this. This is true for me, but none of us really know the ultimate truth, and we certainly don't know another's experience. We can't really speak for others. So try to put things more in the first person, speaking for our own experience. We're sharing and exploring and welcoming diverse viewpoints and perspectives, and trying not to shut down or dismiss anybody else. So speaking for the first person helps us really stay in our own experience and not make blanket statements for others that may or may not have any validity for others. So the other is that our sharing in the breakout groups is private and it's confidential. We pause the recordings. That part's not recorded. Even if we had accidentally left the recording on, it wouldn't capture the breakout groups. That's a Zoom function that's automatically set up, which is great. But I'll pause the recording each time. And what your partners share with you, please keep confidential. You might relay part of their story or something you learned that was interesting, but you wouldn't say, oh, it was the best thing ever. Carlo Tavarez told me this story, and then tell his story, identifying him and giving all the details to another person outside the session. Even in the large group, when we come back, if your partners have shared something that's really interesting that you'd love the full group to hear about, it's better to just say, I was really inspired by our breakout conversation. And I wonder, Giancarlo, would you be comfortable sharing anything that you shared in the breakout? Let that person decide if they'd like to share in the full group, because it is a little different being in just the small group with only two or one or two, maybe three other people to hear than the full room. So we want to honor your own discretion, that you can share only what you're comfortable with your partners in small group. And then coming into the full group conversation, coming off Zoom, you can use reactions and raise hand if you want to interrupt at any point and jump in. That's totally fine. And we'll do 2 different breakout rounds. So yeah, so it's our first time partnering together. Giancarlo's a new regular, as we say. And anything you want to say as we're starting to kick off before I kind of go into my storytelling, Giancarlo?
Just thank you for giving me this opportunity. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or whatever time you are in this now moment around the world and this multidimensional holographic reality. My name is Carlo Tavarez. I'm Dominican, and I'm sure we'll get more into the story soon. And I'm here also with my partner, Devon Taylor, and some of our children. And I'm excited. I'm grateful. What an honor. And I'm nervous. Let's go.
All right, getting things set up. Let's see if I can turn this waiting room function off. All right, so another aspect of the Coincidence Cafe is that we keep this free and open to everyone. We also have a speaker series each month where we have people that know a lot about the subject come and give talks and share resources. And the focus there is a little more on the speaker. In Cafe, the focus on all of us and building community and making sure everybody has a chance to talk, at least in the breakouts, with an invitation to share in the full group after the breakouts, both times. And if you have the means to give a donation, we welcome those. We are a nonprofit and we're operating globally. We use the funds to help support our website and our small team of folks working to help bring this work into the world, pursuing our vision to illuminate the currents, the invisible currents that connect and unify us. And sometimes invisible, sometimes maybe slightly visible, or they become more visible. So we're playing with that line between, what is invisible and what is more clear with all of us. So I would love if those here on the call would post in the chat where you're calling in from today. It's nice for us to see who the group is and where we're all located. A few of you I asked before the meeting started, but you're welcome to still post in the chat because we didn't really capture that on the session recording. So we got Florida, Texas, Oregon, New Mexico, Sweden, Israel. Welcome from Israel, Nashville, Florida, Indiana, Germany, Grüß Gott. Nice to see you from Germany, South Carolina, and 2 in New Mexico. Yay, San Francisco, Encino, California, in the UK, Port Townsend, Washington, Coral Gables, Florida. So nice with the good weather. Another California, another Florida, and Virginia Beach, Virginia, not far from me. Central Coast, California, and Marin County, California. Got some good Bay Area folks. Northern California action today. So that's wonderful. And feel free, if you get inspired, to host a meetup or a coincidence cafe physically in your own community. Can always send chat messages privately by clicking on everyone, and a drop down will form and you could chat someone. So I could send a chat just to Jerry, for example, and send him a private message, maybe if I wanted to exchange emails or something. So you're welcome to connect with folks that are near you and talk about coincidences with people in your world. Share your synchronicity stories and experiences with your colleagues and with your friends, family, and ask for theirs. Sometimes if we just introduce a story, someone will go, oh yeah, I had an experience like that. So we don't have to be even explicit about it. Just by putting one into the mix of how we're interacting, often it kind of opens the doors for others to share their experiences. And that's part of what we're trying to do here with our project, is to normalize these experiences. They're happening for all of us all over the world. And we want that to be more clear, because it connects us, it brings us together, it makes us feel closer, and not just to humans but also with the natural world. Something I look at a lot is coincidences in connection with nature and animals, plants, trees, weathers, general geographies, the amazing things that happen in certain places, the seemingly sort of vortex or powerful energy. And some places seem to really open those floodgates for interesting coincidences and synchronicity to occur. So we want to help encourage others around the world to have those experiences. And going forward with the cafe, we really want to talk together about what we can do to help improve conditions of life on our planet. What can we do to put coincidence to good use, to put it into practice, to increase our awareness and our consciousness, but also inspire action in new ways. So we start to think about all these things, and we're always welcome to hear suggestions and ideas from all of you about how we can be doing that more and more. So nice to see we've got about 40 on the call so far. We could have some people joining and dropping off, especially with global time zones. We see a little bit of coming and going. It's wonderful when you can join us for the whole session. So thank you so much. And I guess I want to hop in on the topic for today, which is inspired a little bit by some of the conversation that came up the last 2 sessions of Cafe as well. And that is the kind of ubiquitous, permeating nature of meaningful coincidences and serendipities and synchronicity, whatever word you prefer to use. They're happening all the time in so many different kinds of ways. And sometimes people can build in an assumption that the coincidences only happen when, synchronicity only occurs for me if that we sort of limit it. And if we make those decisions that it is closed off and it's not going to happen, even if it did happen, we might not notice, that we're dismissing what's possible. And maybe it doesn't happen because we do have a big impact on the reality around us. So our bias or our assumption can actually limit perhaps even what unfolds in physical reality around us. Perhaps so. There's a lot of evidence that points to that. But certainly, without a doubt, our own assumptions, our perspectives, our lenses, our bias shapes what we notice, what we are actually able to perceive and become aware of and make meaning of in our reality. And it does it to such a dramatic degree. So one of the assumptions that I've heard from people is that that the coincidences only come when you're kind of in a good place or when you're in the flow. And that's not necessarily true. As we go out around the world, inviting people to share their stories and experiences, we hear them at every kind of moment, including when we're in a lot of distress or when we're experiencing really high emotions of various kinds. Our founder of the Coincidence Projects, Bernard Beitman, he has two really useful, valuable books on this subject. The first one is Connecting with Coincidence, and the more recent one is Meaningful Coincidences, How and Why Serendipity and Synchronicity Happen. And in Connecting with Coincidence, he based it on more than a decade of research into coincidences. And one of the conditions that seems to be linked with more coincidences happening, or at least being noticed, being perceived as happening, is that high emotional state. And so that can certainly come when we're really ecstatic and excited. And it can also come because we're bottoming out and something really difficult has happened. So there's a lot of stories around grief or loss or change and transition. That coincidence can come in those moments when we're kind of between states. And there was also a trend of coincidences occurring or being noticed more when people are in those transitions. So when you're doing something out of a routine or a pattern. And again, that points to, was there more coincidence or did we just notice it more? Because when we're out of our routine or our pattern, we can't go on autopilot. Many of you have probably had the experience of walking or riding a bicycle or driving a vehicle, and you arrive somewhere and then you think, how did I get here? What just happened? Because you were lost in your own reflections. You were lost in your thoughts. And so whatever was actually happening around you, responding to things, you didn't have an accident. For example, you somehow arrived magically at your destination, but you can't recall the journey. You can't recall what you were doing. And that's because we've switched into that autopilot mode. We're actually filtering out almost everything of the world around us. And so because the human brain has a tendency to do that, particularly if we're doing something habitual or patterned, we're going to go into that autopilot distracted mode. And the mind is in this sort of mind wandering mode, often reflecting about the past or the future. We're not present. And so when we're in transition, when we're doing something unexpected, we have to pay more attention. We have to actually stay more consciously aware. If we're in a place we've never been before, we're going to be a little more vigilant, a little more aware, because maybe we're trying to figure out the directions. We also don't know where danger might be coming from. And as mammals, as creatures, beings, we are attuned to when there's potential danger. If we've done something 1,000 times, we've always been safe, we'll kind of tune out most all of the data coming in at us, because there's a really deep assumption on our part that because it's been safe before, it's going to stay safe. And so we just tune out, but instead, if we're doing something, even just taking a new route to work or taking a walk in your neighborhood, but going down a street you haven't gone down before, even that little change can make us wake up and invite noticing new things, perhaps new coincidences unfolding. So those are just a couple of the conditions. And another thing we've seen, we have a weird coincidence survey, even though they're, I was saying earlier, we're trying to normalize them. So they're not really that weird, but it's kind of fun. And the survey was created almost 20 years ago. So it definitely seemed apropos at the time, I think, to name it the Weird Coincidence Survey, the WCF, CS. And that's on the website. I'll post a link to it in a minute. And you're welcome to take that survey. And it just puts people in groups of a very high frequency coinciders, maybe more high than middle, sort of 4 groups, I think, on there. And then we can see how there's trends through a few thousand people have already taken the survey. What conditions seem to make people more likely to be in the higher experiencing groups, the higher noticing groups. And one of those is being open to the possibility they exist. So again, as I was saying, our bias can close us down. And if we say it's not possible, then maybe it isn't possible for us to notice it, as we've sort of created this reality. And another is having a kind of spiritual frame of reference. Maybe it's religious, maybe it's just more of a philosophy, but thinking that we're connected to something larger than ourselves, that overall frame of reference, that we're looking for meaning and seeking to make meaning, and that meaning may lie in conditions that are not just within us, but are part of our connectedness to the world beyond us, also helps us to be more likely to experience more coincidences. So those are a few of the sort of introductory thoughts. We have a lot of resources in the resource area of our website too. So if you haven't been there, I definitely encourage you. I'll drop the link in the chat when we come back, I guess, from the first breakout. But I kind of, in talking about coincidences in our highs and lows, there's an interesting phenomenon that came up. And for about a year, we hosted weekly conversations also on Clubhouse, but it's a lot of work to facilitate, 52 weeks out of the year of something. So we decided to stick more with Cafe for now. Although if any of you want to get a group going on Clubhouse, I'd be glad to talk to you about that. And this topic came up over and over again in some of our Clubhouse conversations, doing, 4 or 5 dozen sessions together with different folks from around the world tuning in. And, being in our highs can be emotional. It can be spiritual, that we feel elevated or inspired, or we feel very strong emotions, maybe strong and positive emotions. We call it a peak experience, or being, at a peak point or high point in our life, or in our story, or even just in our day. And there's also a literal possibility of people going up to the mountain to receive insight. A lot of people would go up and climb up high and see new things and have whole ideas come to them. In a lot of world religions, you see this trend of reporting that someone went up high and from that higher vantage point connected with their god or gods, something beyond them that communicated. And so there's peak experiences, or being in our highs and lows. There's also even a geographic possibility there, that maybe the lows is like going into the cave. A lot of times for meditation, people would go down low as well as going up high. So that perhaps changing our physical place may put us in a new relationship, where that new possibilities or new insights or connections come to us. And I wanted to just share briefly a song that I wrote. I'm a musician and have a band with my husband called the Unheard Sirens Incorporated. And if you guys will bear with me, we've done a few meditative practices and a few other things to break the mold of just talking at or talking with, to do something in addition to that. And I'd like to just share a short song. It's only about 3 minutes with all of you. And then I'll tell you just a little bit about that song. I'll let you maybe experience it first and see what you notice from the song and the lyrics, because the lyrics appear on the screen, so you can kind of see the words as it goes on. And and then we'll turn it over to a breakout to let you guys process and talk about the thoughts that are coming. If a story's coming to you about a peak experience geographically, or life transition moment, or a high emotional moment, where a coincidence, something really came, and what that meant for you. So that's where we'll be going here. But I'm gonna share my screen and the sound. And this is about a journey I took to Africa, to be in Africa for about a month in 2019. So that's where this song comes from. And I'm going to play it for us, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it after we play it. All right, I'm gonna press that. Sound coming through okay? So Carlo, you can hear it?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Over the Atlantic, boundaries blur, I'm bound to a new land, a snake shedding its skin. Where's the skin I'm meant to fit in? I've been broken, opened by joy, broken, opened by grief. I seek some relief, stormy seas, recovery. I keep growing though it scares me so. I just seek the truth, the source. On a pilgrimage of sorts, I'm bound to a new land. Who am I entangled by? I don't know, but she's braver than I. The one I sew the skin to for is wiser than the one before. At a cave full of hope, all will be good. I'll be joined by those I should. At a cave full of hope, all will be good. I'll be joined by those I should. I'll be joined by those I should. I'll be joined by those I should, by those I should.
All right. So back from that, I'm curious actually what you all might have noticed about the things I said in the introduction and that song. So you're welcome if you wanted to make a comment or post something in the chat. I'm curious if anything occurred to you. Giancarlo, how about you? Since you've seen it twice now.
To me, it's like a transmission of that motherland. It just makes me feel and think of ancestors, and I start feeling like I'm swimming in water, and just like it takes me all over the place. And I have been actually feeling called to go to Africa since I was 11. We had this little black and white TV, actually, in my house in Dominican Republic, where I incarnated. And I just found the Discovery Channel, and when I play that channel and I started seeing Africa and all the animals, I just felt in my body like I needed to go there, and I still do. It has still not manifested. Coming up soon.
Yeah, and there's some really cool conversation happening in the chat too. I'll share that just so it gets in our recording as well for people that might be watching later. So Tony shared that he made an experiment years ago in a notebook on coincidences to write them down, even small ones as they were occurring. And he found the more attention he paid, the more different coincidences he had, both the number and how remarkable they were. Increased. And Laura said she's doing that now, and they're coming thick and fast. And that's something we're trying to start encouraging is a whole new literary form, which would be the coincidence memoir or coincidence biography, to really focus on our synchronicities. And Bernie Beitman, our founder, he'll have his next book coming out is his own autobiography told through his meaningful coincidences throughout his life. So just journaling about it, just like dream journaling, it can be ephemeral and easy to kind of forget or miss or dismiss. And if we write it down and we think about it, reflect on it, look back over it later, we can see patterns, we can see details that would have faded. So it's wonderful to write it down. Thanks for sharing that, Tony and Laura. Chris said he's doing the writing down too. And then just as I was about to introduce my song, Greg had shared in Africa and in Spain on pilgrimages, he's retreated to 2 high elevation caves with a great view. And someone said, hey, just as Greg mentioned Africa, Juliet did so too. So we get these coincidences in real time happening in cafe, which makes us all excited, and it's very groovy. And also one of the lyrics in the song is that I was on a pilgrimage of sorts. So Greg and I, we tend to have a lot of coincidences, Greg and I. So we connected and had one just there too. Jenna said, wee. And Laura was sharing about a book that her uncle wrote about his experience of missionary work in Kenya called Jambo Africa, and written as a diary with his poetry in it as well. So that's another resource. And a beautiful song and video. And somebody couldn't hear anything. Oh, I'm so sorry. Karen has just returned from Africa this week, and the song's a good memory of it. It said somebody else had the sound breaking up a little bit. It said the sound was breaking up right after Greg mentioned Africa. And a moment before I said it, the sound broke up for him. And, we have had some sessions of Coincidence Cafe where we talk about technology. It does not seem to be entirely neutral. It seems to have a playful spirit too. I sometimes find that the algorithm of thousands of songs it could play, it'll play the one with the lyric about exactly what I'm speaking to, but also that we get distortion and the signal gets muddy or interference or even drops when there's high emotion. So a lot of times we'll get to a peak experience of a phone call and it'll drop. And it just happens over and over and over. It's like our emotion and our information overload the system, and it causes a reaction in the technology that we can even observe. And Shanice saying she could feel the connection that I have to the people in the song, and not just Africa, but in the world. Oh yeah, that was me singing. Brian said, is that you? Yeah, that's me. Yeah, so, a few things I noticed thinking about this song to illustrate some of this being in our highs, especially. Over the Atlantic, boundaries blur. That's the first line of the song. I was up high on the plane going to Africa, and I wrote this song. I wrote the poem. And I changed almost nothing to turn it into a song. It's almost exactly word for word. There was little or no editing to adapt it into this song, which is true for me. A lot of my poems come as like downloads. I'm just sort of in a receptive or inspired state, and all of a sudden, the whole thing comes, and it's just my hand can barely keep up with writing it. And I don't tend to write terribly long pieces, so that's helpful. But the thought will crystallize somehow. And so I was over the Atlantic with these boundaries blurring, and that's kind of the place we're in when we're open to coincidences. And it says, I'm bound for a new land. And that's that new or different experience, breaking our habits or our patterns. And it felt like as I had the time in Africa, I was in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and then Rwanda. And I was with friends and teaching there. And I was a guest instructor on a study abroad course. And then I taught at a healing and community learning center in Zimbabwe, and then at a school in Rwanda for friends that live there that were connected to me through a project that I helped to manage called the Dalai Lama Fellowship. And the study abroad course was with my friend Dingani. He's in one of the photographs that are in the video. And he's a Zulu person who grew up entirely in South Africa, immigrated to the US in his 30s, and is a college professor now, and also teaches middle school. He teaches college on top of being a full-time middle school teacher. He's a busy guy, and always has led for decades a study abroad to South Africa. And so I was able to join for about 2 weeks as a guest instructor on that course. And I kept looking at the poem as I was having these experiences, because it felt like everything I was speaking about kept coming to pass. So it also felt like this download or anticipation of things that were true, and then the end lyric is that at a cape full of hope, all will be good, because I knew I was going to the Cape of Good Hope. So I was playing around with that language intentionally, because I knew I would be visiting there, the southernmost point of Africa. But at a cape full of hope, all will be good. I'll be joined by those I should. And it was that feeling that I'll be joined by those I should, that the people that come across my path will be the right people, that the connections will be the right connections, that they'll always all be a gift, that they'll be wonderful. And it really was true. So that might have been a positive bias I was going in with, that good things would be coming, and better that than a negative bias. But hopefully also there was just this openness, because I didn't know who I might be joined by. And so it was kind of welcoming that to be in a new place, a new continent I'd never been to before, with cultures quite different from my own, many things about my life different than norms in Africa across all the different countries that I'd be visiting. And just that it would be I knew it would be positive, so wonderful to be able to be there, to connect, to be open and welcoming to whatever experiences and people came across my path. So that was some of why I thought it might be great, at this to share a song, because it's another way of us all connecting is also through music, which we've done some sessions on that in the past. And then I invite you now. I'll quickly whip up some breakout groups, and anything else that came up for you, Giancarlo, as I was sharing sort of a little bit about how this song connected to our theme today.
I'm still honestly asking how the theme wants to unfold. And I've been sitting up with what to share, what do they need, how to speak to their hearts. And it was just change. My intuition changed, what I was gonna talk about. And I don't know if I should say it now or after the breakup groups.
Maybe just after. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So we'll let you jump off on that for your session. Give everybody about 12 minutes in the breakouts. You'll have one or two colleagues with you to share. And if you need anything, you can raise your hand from the breakout groups. I can join you. And whatever is inspired so far from today, especially if you have a story of a high or a low, where there was a meaningful coincidence, I will welcome you to share those stories, but any other reflections that you want to share with your partners. And then after 12 minutes, you'll also get an extra 60-second countdown so that you have a notice to wrap up. Please just make sure everybody has a chance to speak. So if you know you tend to be long-winded, please keep an eye. Maybe let others start and hold back. If you know you usually are the first one to speak, maybe be the second or third one to speak this time. Give other people a chance to talk as well. and just admitting someone else from the waiting room. Welcome, everybody. All right, we're going to pause the recording and go into the breakouts. If you have someone new join your breakout, you guys can give them a quick orientation to where we are, at least what our subject matter is. And then we'll see you after 12 minutes. So. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm going to add a spotlight for Giancarlo. So I think we have just a minute if anybody has anything from that first breakout round that they might like to share. And then Giancarlo, I'll turn it over to you. Any burning shares? If not, we'll have some time towards the end for the full group shares too. All right. Everyone's along for the ride. So Giancarlo, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So I do want to share.
Yes,
that was
please.
actually really cool and very powerful and very synchronistic. These past 4 days, I felt a strong call to join a new community called the Earth Star Academy. And they are a group of star seeds with indigos and basically like all of us right here. They just name themselves in a different way. And they do specialize, though, in doing grid work, which grid work is working with the ley lines and the energetics of the earth. And I feel you understand about this. I'm Juliet. And we were basically bringing the frequency and the timeline of heaven on earth to the world, and very especially to Israel. And then when I go into the breakout room, there's this lady, Osnat, and guess what, guys? She's from Israel. She's in Israel right now. Also, before, when you were mentioning something, you said something about a book. I don't know if it was your book or somebody else's book. I got the download in that moment that on this call, there are a lot of people that have been dreaming with writing a book, or you're going to start feeling the call or writing a book, and you're going to feel it in your body. To some of you, it's not really going to make sense on your mind or logically, and even parts of you are going to be like, I'm not good enough. What am I going to write a book about? And you're going to hear all these stories, and at the same time, you're going to start seeing the synchronicities and the signs that you're really being called to do this. In fact, I'm one of those, and I'm fighting in my mind and the stories, and what am I going to write? And last night, I found this lady, Janet, that is having a whole program, 8 weeks, on how to write, publish, and everything a book. And it's only $187. He has 2 coaches, and he has extra courses and extra goodies. So if anybody's interested, or if you're feeling that call right now in your body, send me a message and I'll connect you. And it'll be amazing to enjoy that journey. And the lows, the highs and the lows of synchronicities. And how much time do I have first, Juliet? That's not my superpower.
Maybe shoot for about 5 minutes for this story.
Okay. So my life has been full of lows, so many lows, and it has been so full of so many highs. I incarnated in Santiago, Dominican Republic, DR. I'm Dominican. That's why you hear this beautiful accent of mine. I also chose to incarnate in a home that was full of trauma and patterns and dysfunctions. Please share more. Okay. And I always also felt very connected to miracles and to nature, and I would see energies and see dead people and just see signs. And I didn't know back then when I was a kid that they were synchronicities. And now I'm remembering more and more, just like many of you are remembering or have been remembering for a while. And what I feel is that all these lows that we are all experiencing collectively are bringing us into a deeper state of integration and bringing online in our bodies all these memories, ancient memories from our DNA lineages and also from our star families. And we're going to start meeting different parts of ourselves that we didn't know before. And I don't know if you wanted to say something or if the time is up, Juliet.
No, but I guess just can you share a short version of the story of how you were living on the street in LA and then getting to sing on the stage? Because that is such an inspiring story. I think we have a lot of folks that weren't on the call when you shared that story before.
So in my journey of remembering who I am, part of my lows have been that I have experienced homelessness, not only in Florida, many times. And when I was in Florida, I felt a call to move to California. I just felt it in my body. I heard my guy say, "Okay, time to move to California," and I was like, "Hell to the no!" And for 7 months, I started fighting with my higher self, and that was part of the mission. Then it just got so loud, the call to move over here, that and I started resisting so much that I got really depressed, and just everything started crumbling in the reality where I was in Florida until I had to surrender. And I was like, after 7 months of fighting, almost 9, the baby was gonna be born. I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go to Florida. I didn't have any money, or that was a story that I was entertaining. I didn't have a car, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, I asked a friend, okay, Amy, take me to a gas station where there are truckers, and I'm going to ask somebody to give me a ride. I got there. I was asking truckers all night long. Everybody said no. The next day, this lady, Shoshana from Colorado, sent me a message, and she was like, I don't want you to continue struggling like that. I already bought your bus ticket to California. Just go to this station at 3 p.m. and you will be on your way. Because when we met in Puerto Rico in 2013 in that retreat, and I met you and your husband, it was just so beautiful and so healing to me. And I was like, Shoshana, thank you so much for the bus ticket. And I have never in my freaking life been to Puerto Rico. I am not married. And she was like, what? Yes, I met you in Puerto Rico. What are you talking about? Like, your husband was so beautiful. And I was like, no. Maybe that was another version of me that in a different timeline that you were supposed to meet, so we could meet now and I could make it to my mission in California. Which I
Wow.
did. It was crazy. It still doesn't make any sense logically. And it felt so right. I got on the bus, then another bus, and it was a million buses. I promise I will never do that again. And that was part of exactly what I needed to do back then. In one of the buses, when I was talking with this girl that actually lives in San Diego, suddenly a guy comes, he knocks on my shoulder. I look to my left, and then he was like, here you go. And he hands me $100. And he's like, to support your trip. I started bawling and crying. And I just felt like this momentum and like the universe wrapping me. And I just felt so loved. And I grabbed the $100 and I just felt, give it to her. And I was like, what? He just gave it to me. And then my intuition or my guys or whatever said, give it to her. I gave her the money. The girl that was sitting next to me, she started bawling. And in that moment, she told me how she had not eaten a thing in 3 days. And she was so grateful. The guy comes back, knocks on my shoulder again, and he hands me 100 more. Both of us were crying like two little babies, and I couldn't believe it because that was so out of the blue and so miraculous at the same time because I didn't have a single penny. Then I made it over here. I'm gonna make it shorter because it's a really long story, and I can share with you guys if you like to
Yeah.
hear it. I made it over here. I was gonna go to the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and that's where my partner is from, which I had no freaking idea. I went to a workshop by Teal Swan. I was sharing my journey along the way and just like blogging and making videos and all the stuff. When I met it over there, part of her team back then, Blake, and she was like, he was like, you are so brave. Teal and I and the whole team were watching your journey all the way to California, and we just want to honor you and celebrate you. I started bawling and I didn't stop crying until like 6 p.m. that day. I ended up on the beach for almost a whole year. My home, my mother, my refuge, my healer, my everything was Mama Ocean. I call her mother now because, and thanks to that experience, and I'm also emotional, and that's probably why you can feel or hear it in my voice. And I just surrendered. I was like, okay, after fighting of being homeless and in the street, I just surrendered to exactly where I was. I just made peace with my resistances. And then one day I said, okay, Mama Water, I'm ready. Show me what is the next step. And I heard her speak to me and she said, go online, find an organization where you can share your gifts and your talents and your voice and go for it. I started looking, theater, this, that, no, no, no. Then suddenly I got to this website called the Gay Men's Quarters of Los Angeles. Goof. It felt like a big yes in my body. I messaged them. I auditioned. I didn't think they were going to call me. They did call me. And when I was in Florida, and back then, I had a favorite rock star, a Mexican rock star called Gloria Trevi. By the way, I was having dreams with her. And when they told me that I was going to be a part of the GMCLA, Gaming Quarters of Los Angeles, they said, okay, guys, you guys are going to perform at the Forum in Los Angeles, and you guys are going to open for Gloria Trevi. And everything became slow motion in that moment. And I was like, what is going on? And at the same time, and at the same time, I knew that I knew that I was gonna be a part of it. Somebody's laughing so hard right now, and I can hear it. We love it.
Yeah. Just the right mic is off mute for you to get someone's delight. And your story
Like,
is amazing.
anyways, yep, I did the audition like I was the freaking, and they chose me. And not only I opened the song for Gloria Trevi, I was the first one that opened the song for Gloria Trevi at the Forum in front of 15,000 people, and I was still homeless. I am the embodiment of how in our lows, in our grief, in our anger, in not having money, in the confusion, in the depression, in the suicidal, in the whatever it is that we may be experiencing, we can also manifest and create such powerful and beautiful and incredible miraculous timelines. As I'm saying this, it's coming to my awareness how some of you can connect this to your physical health and how there's some health situations. You can also create miracles and healings in your physical health, and that's available for you. And the other day, me and my partner were calling abundance, and I just joined another community with Sarah, and I had to give a certain amount of money, and it's a different economic system. And I was being called into a surrender into that. And one of my intentions, as I was setting intentions with Devan, my partner, was that we were going to receive more abundance. The other day, out of the freaking blue, and I hope this is okay, Devan, to mention, we received an unexpected check for more than $16,000. And we still so in shock and so grateful. And it's just so real. It's so real. It doesn't matter if whatever unexpected money. It doesn't matter if we don't think that we're not good enough or we're healing traumas or whatever it is. As we start opening in curiosity and just allowing the frequency of possibilities, the synchronicities just start showing up, and then we can start connecting with miracles. And it doesn't matter that we don't live a perfect life. It's not about living a perfect life or having all the titles or blah blah blah. It's about being in alignment with our true authentic selves. And I just want to say thank you to the Synchronicity Fairy, because also thanks to you and following the synchronicities, I'm here today. And I just appreciate you and love you so much. And I have your earrings here. She gave Devon and I 2 earrings, and I call them my synchronicity earrings. And they remind me of miracles and how synchronicities are so alive and so available to all of us. And that is part of the story.
Awesome. Thank you, Giancarlo. So we have about 20 minutes left of the session, and I'm thinking maybe we could just do full group conversation rather than a second round of breakouts to have time to chat. I hope that will work okay for everyone. So I'm curious if anybody has something coming to them that they might like to share with us, your own story or reflection on something we're talking about today. Yeah, and you can, as Jenna's done, I'll call on Jenna in just a moment, you can raise your hand. And the way to do that is cover your mouse over the bottom. You get a menu bar and you can click on more. And under reactions, you click on more, and then a little menu pops up and you click on reactions, and you can give a little heart if you want to say yay, or you can raise your hand. So those are the kinds of things you can do with reactions. So Jenna, how about to you, the Synchronicity Fairy?
Hi, everybody. I have kind of a short and sweet one, but it was the one that came up that I shared about like finding things in either like higher places or in caves and that kind of thing. I was on a walk with a girlfriend who I had referred to a hypnotherapist that I had an amazing experience with, and the entire hike up to this place, we were talking about each of our experiences that we had by going to the same person. And then we get up to the little picnic table at the top and saw this little white dog come running toward us, and looked at the dog, and we like followed the leash up to the person, and it was our hypnotherapist in this really random place that we were talking about the whole way up. And it was like, what in the world are you doing here? So short and sweet, but I had one I thought that was relevant to the topic, so I thought I'd share. It was fun.
Yep. It's the new version of the peak experiences. And you get up high, notice what's possible up on those peaks. Thank you. Hey, Greg, how about you? Come off mute. Yeah. There you go.
I would like to respond to that marvelous sharing of the journey, including a year of being on the beach in California. I think the thought that comes to mind is we all have a synchronicity fingerprint. And your synchronicity fingerprint is really a marvelous one. I was the guy laughing in the background because I was just so astonished and delighted by that slow motion scene that you told so marvelously. You're really a great storyteller. I wish you all the luck in the world. And on that book you're working on, I'm working on a book too. Yeah, you spoke to my heart. So yeah. So best wishes. I'm out.
Yeah, thank you. And in my breakout group, the first time we talked about that, my partner Sean and I, who were conversing, both working on books, so we were giving each other some support about encouragement to work on our books and to make those books a reality. And then we came back from the breakouts, and the first thing you spoke about, Jean Carlos, the books in us, and many of us here on the call, and support and encouragement to make the books a reality. So it was a complete mirror of what we had just done in the small group, and then it happened again in the large group.
Wow.
Yeah,
And thank you, Greg.
Multiple topics you brought up were actually mirrored as well, from like star seeds to and books, and just a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, we're vibing. We're definitely vibing. I see Delia, and then after that, Chris. So Delia, come off mute. Oops, still on mute, Delia. You got it? There you go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep this very short because it could be a very long story. The breakout was very, very potent and synchronistic for me. And my partner, whose last name is Gordon, I don't see him on right now, but he was talking about doing a guided meditation. And in the meditation, he was directed to a magazine. And the magazine had a man that was walking up these steps, and the steps were golden. And he had related that there's something happening for him. So that was very poignant for me because yesterday I had I'm going to use two terms. In third dimension, I had a medical emergency where the first responders came, and then the ambulance came, and so forth. And it happened so quickly. And one of the things that is processing for me today is you use the word automatic pilot. So I was playing golf, and I played golf on Fridays, and I walked the course. I carry a light bag. I had a little bit of a headache, but it wasn't unusual. I'm leaving the ninth hole, and I'm walking to my car, and I have a friend playing with me. And about 10 steps later, I get this automatic message: you may not be able to walk to your car. I'm just not feeling that I can walk anymore. So I take about 10 steps and I stop. Now, I'm right near the parking lot, but I'm past the ninth hole. So it's a 9-hole course. At any rate, it was all very compact. And so she comes up and holds me, and I become dizzy. And I see stars, and I just have no thoughts whatsoever. Stars, and I'm out. She says I fainted. So when I went to fall, she was holding me, but I still fell, and I turned my ankle, and my ankle is all swollen today because I wasn't in my body, so I couldn't even control my ankle. So, of course, the ambulance came, the report was done, checked my heart, and wanted me to go to the hospital. And I said, no, I'm not going to the hospital. So I came home and I slept for 12 hours. Slept all afternoon and till this morning. And so right now, I'm really processing, and the synchronicity, while it seems negative, really isn't, because I don't think there's anything really wrong with me as far as physically. I had just been to my doctor the day before for my annual checkup and all my blood work. I am anemic for the first time. But other than that, everything was good, So here, 24 hours later, I'm having this episode. So what really helped me is process this morning is hearing the story about the magazine and the gold steps. Because yesterday was Cosmic Sun in the Zolkin spin of 260 days. It was Cosmic Sun. That's the end of a cycle. And today is a dragon, Kin 1, magnetic dragon, which is purpose. And so this transition was happening for me. And of course, it's a very clear message that it's really the sun energy and the golden steps that are here, not this auto play that I did in the third dimension of fainting and going out and being rescued. So I've never been rescued. I've only been rescued really two other times, two other dramatic times. And one was in Palenque, Mexico, when it was raining and I couldn't walk down the mountain. But that's another whole deep story, which was very synchronistic. So today's been very helpful for me in this process of deciphering what in the hell was going on with this third dimensional experience that I had.
Yeah, Giancarlo, I'm curious if you have a reply for Delia.
You were having a reset that is aligning you more to who you really are. So you were knocked out, and then there are memories that are coming up and that are being activated from your DNA, and you're going to start experiencing all kinds of synchronicities and a lot of like events, and you already are experiencing them. And you're going to have even ideas that you didn't have before, and you're going to feel guided to start doing things and talking to people that you were not. So just be open, and it's okay if it feels a little scary, and just enjoy the ride.
Well, actually, it really isn't scary. It's really more a process. And I do have a blog. I have a blog that was started by an IT guy as a gift to me. And he's a dragon. He's a resident dragon. His name is, yeah. And he has an IT company, and he did it all for me gratis. So I've got to be in touch with him because now that just come to me. But my blog, I've been looking to write another blog post, which I did in March, but not since. And my blog is arcterrablog.com. Arc, A-R-C, Terra, T-A-R-A, blog.com. And Arcterra was the crystal goddess of the Arcturians. And I've been guided that that was a walk-in for her, and there's backstory to that, but it's not important right now. But now I know what to talk about in this upcoming blog, because it's going to be about my autopilot experience. Like you say, you really described it so perfectly as to what's next. And I just had a solar return reading done. It was so powerful. Oh my gosh, every day I've revisited that. So, look at this. Do you see my cats? You don't see my cats, do you?
Here's my little
They're
dragon.
right
His name is 11.
Oh,
yeah, I have two cats. Let's see if one of them is right up here behind me. There's one of them right there. That's
wow,
Noah.
I love what you're saying. What you're saying,
that
Delia.
voluntarily did
here's mine.
my blog.
Here's mine.
All
Delia,
the
mine
synchronicity
matches
keys.
yours. She's black and white.
Yeah, and
So
my other
beautiful.
one is over here looking out the window over the water in St. Petersburg. You know, I'm in
wow.
St. Petersburg.
Oh my gosh, wow. I lived there. And part of the work, the great work that I was doing in this event for these past 4 or 5 days, was also very especially working with the dragons and also the Arcturians.
Wonderful. And then let's see, we can lower. So Chris, on to you, and then Kirby, and then Brian.
Hi, everyone. So I was really surprised when you talked, Giancarlo, about publishing, writing books. And I had a very crazy experience where there was a collaborative art program in the Florida Panhandle. I carry a map right here, where the wide-angle lens photographers submitted over 500 entries, and the writers in the Florida Panhandle were asked to select a photo and write about it. And once that photo was selected, it was yours. I went through the 500 photos, and this one behind me right here jumped out at me, of the dandelions. And it was selected as one of the top 10 top 10. And then at the reception, it was selected People's Choice as the #1, the photo and my write-up. And I had only done this because I wanted some clarity on where to take the book I've been writing about my mother's death. And the book is about end of life, quality living, end of life, all, and afterlife curiosity and intrigue. This picture jumped out at me, and I met the photographer at the reception for the first time. She's a biochemist, and she told me that she took this picture 2 days after her father died of dementia, and my mother died of dementia. So that's that.
That's beautiful, Chris. Giancarlo, do you want to share something? I see it. You want to share something?
Just so much. I don't even know where to start. That's the way I felt in this whole call, besides being super nervous and excited. Oh, man. I feel your father is going to be one of your guides that is going to be guiding you in the way you're going to be writing the books. And I feel this for many of you, actually. And I feel that this is my partner's book. And this was born out of full freaking synchronicity. I don't know if you want to share about it, Devon, or if you want me to share about it. But following the synchronicities and just our guidance and miracles, and one group led to the other, one conversation to the other, and just being open.
I probably should have mentioned that I'd got a call Tuesday that a publisher has picked up my book.
Yay!
Yay!
Celebrating
it's a subsidiary
that.
of Simon & Schuster.
Celebrating that. And if there's anybody in here that wants to be connected to a publisher, my partner Devon and I have a badass publisher that we can connect you with, and I'm actually connecting Juliet with them right now. I would love to support as many of you as, if you want to have a publisher and you feel this is for you, I would love to speak with you.
Thank you so much. And I see Brian and then Kirby after that. Brian. Oh, still on mute.
I wanted to comment on what Delia had mentioned about her experience. It's definitely been my experience where often I'm so mind-based and so analytical that I really want to know what this experience means now. But often it takes me a long time to process the situation, and then sometime down the line, in as much as we experience time and as much as that's a thing, eventually I gain enough perspective to understand what it's about. So yeah, just be patient, Delia. Maybe it'll make more sense eventually.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. All right, Kirby, I'm going to bring you, add a spotlight for Kirby.
Yeah, for the past, I would say now, 3 months, like I've been having the synchronicities daily. And the one thing I've been trying to do is like I've been trying to study the physics of it. And it seems like once you reach a level where it's daily, it seems like the universe, like you just want to match you, like you just want to match things and stuff, And like, when I get up and I said to myself, okay, what you gonna match, And then like it seems like there is a natural thing that it's gonna match something. The thing is that since that sometimes we can tell the future and sometimes we can't, but it seems like it's just a natural thing that um, the universe is going to match something. And then sometimes it's very minor, or sometimes that it has a lot of meaning. But I think um, it is a product of the universe, you know. And then this what I noticed when I started to see it almost daily and stuff. Because I used to like for years, I used to have clusters where I would see it for a while and it stopped. But for the past around 3 months, I see it daily, and now like I'm starting to embrace it, you know. So it's just a natural part. So the thing that I stress is like always try to be positive, and then like you just allow it to match. Because I think it's just playing a game with us, you know what I mean? Like I think it's a game, and I think we need to just relax and chill out, you know. If you need love, it knows that you need love. If you need money or you need food, it knows it, but you just have to play with it, and then you just have to allow it. And it happens, but the problem is like if we need money, we go straight to the bank, or we ask people. But the thing that we don't see is like it you're gonna send you a check and you don't know where it's coming, you know what I mean? So I think we have to learn to stop thinking, and then you just have to trust more, because what I noticed, like, it's just a natural thing. Like, hey, I'm gonna match something, and it's gonna happen very quickly, but you just have to allow it to happen. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Kirby. And yeah, that's another of the trends in the research data on coincidences that we've seen is having a question or a need, a distinct, specific need, and then somehow there's a serendipitous matching, as you say, that something comes to help to meet that need or to answer that question, and often in a very unexpected, unanticipated way that you wouldn't have known to engineer it that way. You wouldn't have known to foresee that this would be the path or the way that the solution or answer or need would be met. And so if we can invite ourselves to be specific about our needs and what we're longing for and what's required, or the wish that we have kind of buried inside us, like to get more clear on what it is that's longing to be said or to be heard, to be acknowledged, then it can get that match, then it can come. So it's good to do that work. Again, journaling, writing about it, telling our stories to one another can be really good ways to help bring to the surface some of that might not be articulated or fully conscious yet, to kind of go in. Or some of the others on the call mentioned, meditations and pilgrimage, going out in nature, taking long walks, or meditating inward, which you can do anywhere, indoors or outdoors, can be ways to get in touch with some of this that might be just beneath the surface and we're not yet quite conscious of it. Yeah, thank you. I see Devin also.
Hello. So I just kind of wanted to validate some of what JC was saying, or Giancarlo was saying, about the money and just like our experience in general. We did get unexpected money that came out of nowhere. I was really struggling with the idea of us moving and not having enough this or not having enough that. And I think when I had kind of let go of the idea of not having enough of anything and just, what if we just are in the perfect situation and this is what's supposed to happen? That's when the money came. And it shocked both of us. And I immediately ran to JC and was like, I don't even know what to say right now. And he was like, this was our answer. This is our validation. And even the process with the book, the entire process, finding the publisher, meeting with them, getting the book designs done, all of it was just the way that it happened, so synchronistic. And you guys see the kids, and I was expressing in the breakout rooms, the kids, that entire situation was very synchronistic too, because we were talking about what if we had kids, and what if we had this big family, and boom, weeks later we've got 4 kids, 6 dogs, 1 cat. Like we're a full house over here. And a lot of it is just the synchronicity that we're running into, and how we're flowing with it and allowing it into our lives, and just allowing it to teach us more and more about ourselves and who we are and what we're meant here to do. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to validate everything that Giancarlo is saying, because it's real life for us over here, and we're experiencing it on a almost day-to-day basis. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I know, be careful, you two wishing for abundance. You're apparently extremely good at manifesting together. And we're just coming to the end of our hour and a half together. So I know we can stay on for a little while longer for those of you that are available to stay on for another 15 or 20 or 30 minutes. But for those who need to go, we just want to, let's see, I'll take the spotlight off so we can see everybody again. Hang on, let me do that couple different clicks. So here we all are, and so grateful to all of you. And again, welcome. So glad to see some of you for the first time. Thank you for coming and being here. And for our returnees, we're so glad to have you back. We really are. It's beautiful to both have new people each time, and to start to get to know one another. We're like that show Cheers, like Norm, there's Steve Wilkinson. Haven't seen Steve in a while. It's great to have some fresh faces along with some familiar ones. And we'll be here every month on the third Saturday. If you're in time zones where it's still Saturday, I think it's Sunday in Asia right now, but for most of us, it's still Saturday. And we'll do this every month. And I put in the chat, the participate page on thecoincidenceproject.net is where we post about our events. And we welcome your donations if that's something that you're interested in. It's possible for you. Yeah, we put it into chat. And Giancarlo, thank you so much for being my partner and hosting this today's event. And so grateful for that as well. And yeah, if anybody's near Charlottesville, Virginia, we're doing an in-person meeting next week on Tuesday, October 24th. And Bernie and Leslie Grainer in our community will be our primary presenters. And I'll be doing just an opening practice to lead off the session. And then Bernie and Leslie will be hosting an interactive session. So if you're near Charlottesville, Virginia, we'd love to see you at that session. And just let me know if you need any more information. Feel free to email me. I think most of you guys already have my email. And I know it made Mary Kay Landon here on the call very happy to hear an unexpected money story, because she did her PhD research studying unexpected money. So we've done a couple of those sessions on Cafe. We'll probably do it again before too long. It's kind of nice to do it that once a year, Mary Kay, because then we encourage everyone's financial well-being and abundance on such when we do that topic. Do you want to make a comment on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting how it really engages people and brings the group together, and then they have some fun stories to share the following session. So yeah, we'll have to do it again soon. Maybe in the new year, like as people seed their new year with intention. Yeah, might be good then. Yes. But yeah, but I find many coincidence stories do have this money component to it, because that the sort of the appearance of money just feels so magical, and it's such a universal. Unfortunately, we're all connected by money. I mean, that's a way that connects anyone living in a civilization. So it's so universal, and that's why I even chose it as a topic for my dissertation, because I could then attract different types of people into my study. So that's all I got to say right now. But yes, Juliet, thanks for that reminder. I think we should do it again.
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah, we'll do it probably early in 2024. It's always nice to welcome abundance early in the year. But not the same month that you're doing speaker series, because that'd be too much on your plate, but in the general arena.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And Juliet, I would like just to thank everyone that sent me this message in private and here in the Zoom meeting. And thank you for your support. It means a lot to us in Israel.
Thank you. I think many of us have been holding Israel in everyone affected by this conflict, also in Gaza, all the people impacted by this conflict in our hearts.
I'd like to ask, if that's okay, can we just stretch our hands to Osnat and send her and Israel so much love right now, and so much support, and so much healing, and so much synchronicity, and just positive focus. And imagine you have the heart the size of a blue whale. That is the biggest heart on planet Earth. And imagine Osnat, and imagine Israel, and even the Palestinians, and just everybody that is involved with that conflict. Imagine them just clothed and just inside of so much love, the most powerful frequency of love emanating from your heart. Imagine you're that blue whale right now. All of us are blue whales and are dragons, and our hearts are emanating that frequency of support and of unity. And just take a moment. And imagine that for yourself too, for your body, for your health. And just breathe it in. And breathe it out, multiply to the whole earth, into the universe.
Thank you, and please pray for the kidnapped children. Please pray for them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Taking our blessings with you. Thank you, Giancarlo. All right.
Sue,
Someone
I feel
asked
you
for
want to
the...
say something.
What?
Do you want to say something?
Sue?
Oh, I just felt that ends on such a special, wonderful note. I mean, what Giancarlo said and how he led us through that visualization was the most special thing I could imagine anyone doing at this point. And not only to spreading it out to ourselves and then to the world. I mean, it couldn't get any better. Thank you, Giancarlo. Thank you.
Yep. And that's definitely why we're here, to connect and combine our spirits, our hearts, our thoughts, and share them for the good, for the healing of one another and our societies and ecosystems, the planet. Yeah, thank you, Giancarlo, for leading that for all of us.
My honor. And thank you, Juliet, for hosting this beautiful healing space. And I just love being here. I can't wait to come back. And for the person that said that it does wear foxes, yes. 2 of our kids, Tina and Noah right there, love you guys. Their favorite animals are foxes. And she's holding a fox right now. So it is a fox. That's your synchronicity.
That is the cutest fox in the entire world.
And I just want to celebrate with you guys that they are about to be adopted. We have been in this process for more than 2 years, and we have been praying, and just Devan has poured his heart and soul into loving them and taking care of them, and they're finally going to be adopted the 21st. So I just want to celebrate that with you guys and call that in, that we all embody that frequency of that fatherly and motherly frequency for this earth, for ourselves and our own inner children, and also for the children of the world and the children in your family, and even the adults in your family, or friends or coworkers or whatever, that also have inner children. Even if you don't really have a connection with that person, just emanate that love, and that will shift their timeline just by you. Imagine a gun of love. And we're also, I was feeling before, we are also in the process of manifesting our own home, and that has been another journey. And I just want to ask you to hold that frequency and that vision with me. And I was feeling that many of you are also desiring to manifest a new home or a better living situation, or you're feeling like you want to move to a different city. And I was feeling that for many of you, you are calling in the frequency of belonging because you feel like an outcast or like that you don't belong anywhere. And I feel like saying that that frequency is available for you. And I just wanted to share that. And I love you guys. And this has been so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to be here again. Let's make this world a much better place, guys. We're all rock stars. We're all so powerful. It doesn't matter what trauma, what story, what physical condition. Our voices are so powerful and we're so multidimensional. And Sean, I can hear you. I can feel this touch in your heart. And I just want to say to you that you're so powerful. So powerful.
Much love, much love. And in the universe and back, my friend.
I have a personal request. Next time, can we all bring a stuffed animal? And just see what we come up with.
I always bring my not stuffed animals.
Not stuffed animal. With foxes and whales. I love the whales and the foxes.
Me too. Yep. In our band, my husband and I, we have these sort of characters we inhabit, and he's Remy the Renegade, and he's a fox. And then my character is the Empress Owl. So we always have the fox and the owl. And not the album we're working on now, but the one after that, we plan to create a whole album of music called The Fox and the Owl.
Wow.
We're going to play on this sort of mythic totem connection we have to these animals.
I want it so I can play it to Tina and Noah.
So love the foxes and the whales. I love the whales.
Yeah, to share some love to the whales. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to share before this, and like a little during at the beginning of this, I was researching the Cetus constellation and the backstory of the Cetus constellation. So it was just I saw the whale and the fox, and I wrote that down. I was like, oh, look at that.
So Cetus, it's connected to the cetaceans, to the whales.
Big whales, yeah. Also the serpent and dragon archetype type deal that was slain by Perseus.
The universe of synchronicities.
Even with all the toys. Well, yeah, I think perhaps we are complete for this session, and we'll welcome to come off mute and say goodbye. It's been an honor to be with all of you. Look forward to the next time.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful Saturday.
John, Carlos, and Juliet.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Cute kids.
Thank you.